Well, good evening, this is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 22nd of March, which is a Thursday evening, and of course we're back again. Zuckerberg speaks, and you actually don't have to read the whole article because they give it away in this byline underneath. Facebook CEO offers belated apology for massive data breach. Okay, so let me decode that for you. What Mark Zuckerberg is actually saying is, gee, you know, like, I hate to have to come out on this stage and apologize for all this shit because, you know, if we hadn't got caught, I wouldn't have been here and I would not have told you what was going on. I would not have told you about the massive data breach, and of course, what else is he covering up? You know, when I get a fly in my soup when I go to a restaurant, not only do I wonder about the fly in the soup, but I wonder what the hell else is going on in the background that I'm not seeing. If you can't pick the fly out, there's a lot of other shit going on. But the plot thickens. And here we have the Liberals. This is the Liberal government in Canada, the federal government, had $100,000 with Wiley. This is Christopher Wiley. That's right, Christopher Wiley, who was the whistleblower on Cambridge Analytica, and this is how this whole story broke between Cambridge Analytica, data, and Facebook. But this young man has been working with the Liberals, and as it says here, again, we're just going to take the headline. Wiley, Liberals' connection to whistleblower extended beyond aborted contract. Okay, also, remember, Facebook helped Obama get elected. Okay, now I broke this story on a previous video, but basically why I'm doing all of this is that it just shows you that every political party is manipulating all of the information that we willingly put onto platforms like Facebook, like YouTube, and that kind of thing. This is all monitored. Your Google searches, this is all being monitored and sold to interested third parties like Cambridge Analytica and like Rentrack, which was my example of the CEO there telling you how they worked out the ad campaign for Obama, and how they worked out Obama's election and campaign using this data that they have harvested from the internet. And here we have a little story. A columnist says Facebook blocked her. And this is a columnist for the New York Daily News. Her name is Linda Stasi. And she wrote that there is this woman, Cynthia Nixon, here. She is right here, Cynthia Nixon. And she's running for the mayor of New York. And anyway, this woman, Linda Stasi, had mocked her, saying that how could she run New York State when her claim to fame was starring in SATC and Teenage Hormone Epic Little Darlings, co-starring Christy McNichol and Tatum O'Neal. Facebook has recently gained a reputation for overzealous cultural warriors scrubbing the site of conservative opinions. Okay, so now they did repost or reinstate this woman on Facebook, but again, it just shows you how these platforms are manipulating how we think, how we feel, and of course feeding that back to us. You know, as we like something on Facebook or on YouTube, that creates a back feed of other related videos that will suddenly start coming into your direction. So this tends to reinforce the point of view. It's incredibly subtle programming by moving you in a direction where you are going to get supporting views to your belief system. And of course, you know, that just doesn't work very well, because we actually need a little opposition in our lives to work out the correct path between the left and the right. Anyway, I hope I've made my point that all of the politicians, every single party, is doing exactly the same thing. So do not be gulled by the mainstream media, who are going to single out certain people as, oh no, this is the only person who's ever used this before in the whole history of humankind, and we have to be really afraid of them. No, everyone is now using social media and information harvested from social media, and even I. You can do this yourself. This is a great little way of a personal polling that you can do. And so you just pick a controversial issue, or whatever it is, and you search for that on YouTube, and then you look through the recommended videos or the suggestions that YouTube has, and you look at the number of hits, the number of people who viewed that video. Okay, and by watching the number of views, and then watch the video yourself, and take a moment to scroll down and read some of the comments, notice the number of likes and dislikes, and you can get a pretty good idea what the rest of the country feels about a particular topic or other. You know, this is how I knew that Donald Trump was going to get elected as President of the United States of America, is because when you looked at his speeches on YouTube compared to Hillary Clinton, when she was garnering maybe 27,000 views, Donald Trump was garnering 300 to 400 to 500,000 views. And so you could see, and you can see how harvesting this data can be incredibly important. You can learn a lot by looking at this kind of stuff. Okay, so please conduct your own reviews, your own polls. It's incredibly easy. Pick a subject, whatever it is, and go look at the videos and check out the number of views, and then watch those videos, and you will understand what is going on. Because regardless of what you see in the mainstream media, regardless of what you think is going on around you, you have to take a broader perspective, and YouTube is one of those uncanny broader perspectives. Okay, so try that out, see what you think, and you'll find that amongst your friends you will become a minor prophet. Okay, so next story. Here we go. We knew this was going to happen. This is the fear tactics being pulled by the Liberal government, and of course they had to bring race into it. And you know, of course it says Wynne's right about one old white politician who needs to go, and of course she is referring to Doug Ford as an old white politician that doesn't quite fit into intersectionality and gender politics. You know, I really tire of the fear-mongering. This is a complete distractionary tactic and should be ignored at all costs. Now, of course, here come the promises. Wynne has promised that there will be $2.1 billion in spending on the mental health funding if the Liberals are re-elected. Well, they've had 15 years to fix the mental health system, and there has been article after article after article across the internet about the deplorable failure of the mental health system, where most of these people are now being thrown out of mental health institutes and are ending up in the jails around the country. And of course those jails are not equipped to deal with people who have mental health problems. So basically, you know, the Liberal government has been in power for the last 15 years. They are very much the authors of the problems that we see in mental health, and they have known about them and have not spent a dime to improve the situation of these people who are obviously burdened with a handicap that is way beyond their control. You know, it is one thing to punish people, but it is another to punish somebody who is afflicted with a situation that they cannot help. And this gives you an idea of the mindset of the Liberal government. The Liberal name has basically been distorted. You know, the Liberal government used to be synonymous with equality, egalitarianism. But over the last 15 years we've seen that the Liberal government has been pretty hard-nosed about a lot of things, especially with mental health care, healthcare for seniors, and of course people on disability. And here is Kathleen Wynne at the throne speech. Nice big cheesy smile on her face, and again that's about the 2.1 billion into healthcare, although you know I kind of like this likeness. And of course the caption is, what is it they say about lipstick? And of course that is, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. And of course this is what I'm looking forward to, is the carbon tax showdown, because we are now seeing from all sides that the whole concept of a carbon tax is a scam. Okay, I can prove to you through charts that CO2 has got absolutely nothing to do with climate change. Climate change goes on regardless of CO2. And CO2 is a trailing indicator, not a leading indicator. And so Ontario has stepped back from this, and they are not going to endorse it. Alberta, under Jason Kenney, if he gets elected, are going to reject it. So there is a coming showdown with the Liberal government, who obviously, you know, I mean, we're now finding out by default, if the Conservatives in Ontario and the Liberals in Ontario have admitted freely that the carbon tax is going to pay for promises, how much faith can we put in the federal government's assertion that the carbon tax is going to pay for actual carbon reduction, when, as I said, carbon is not the issue? Carbon is a money-making scheme. These people, you know, the Bill Morneaus of this world, okay, they are going to make big bucks on the trading of carbon tax credits. Al Gore, all of those people, they're just rubbing their little hands together because they're making us feel so guilty about even breathing. And mark my words, that will be coming soon too to a town near you, when they realize that we exhale something like 40,000 parts per billion in carbon dioxide. And you know, some little Scrooge in a corner office somewhere is going to sit down and work out how many breaths the average person takes by the time they're 65, and after that you will have to pay for breathing because of the cost of exhaling CO2. Well, dear me, please do your research. You will find, as I have, that CO2 is absolute nonsense. Okay, so to wrap up, this is an interesting little story. Self-driving Uber fatality. Okay, and you can see here the car and the bicycle on the road. Okay, so this is a horrible situation, and it leads me to a little story that a friend of mine told me. A friend of mine, Mike Gorman, is a semi-professional cyclist, and he has a business called Spokes for Folks over in Cambry, and he was telling me that these self-driving vehicles do not recognize bicycles. And so when you have to pull out around a bicycle, now in Ontario you have to leave, I think it's 1.5 meters gap when you pass a bicycle. Well, the AI thinks that you've crossed the double yellow line, hasn't recognized the bicycle, and it starts to bump you back into the bicycle. Even with a real life person in that car, they were not quick enough to override the AI and stop the fatality from happening. Well, as much as I like my computer, and I do all kinds of research and work on it, as my good friend and landlord said, a computer makes a great slave, but a piss poor master. Okay, so let's bear that in mind. When you think about driving, there are so many things that we take for granted that we do just instinctively by looking out that windshield. All the millions of decisions that we make going down the road, feeling the vehicle through the seat of our pants, through our hands on the steering wheel, all that kind of stuff. We make snap decisions. We make, if you're going into an accident, last minute moral decisions as to the least amount of damage that can be done. What happens when a computer in a car is heading towards some kind of fatal accident? Who is it programmed to save? The passengers in the car that it's controlling? The pedestrians? The people in the other vehicle? Who knows? These are split-second decisions, and we do it so instinctively, we just take it for granted. But this cannot be duplicated by an algorithm. As I've said before, and as Cliff High has mentioned many, many times, a computer will never be more than its program. Okay, a computer can divide and subdivide and break things down into smaller and smaller and smaller increments and learn from that. But you will never get a computer to think out of the box, because it doesn't understand what thinking out of the box actually means. It doesn't have that incentive. It doesn't have that motivation. Human beings have that inherited quality, and it's called motivation. It's what gets us out of bed in the morning. Unless somebody tells a computer to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, a computer is going to sleep forever. But we have an internal motivation hardwired, built in to the human body, and we take it for granted, and that's why we don't notice it. Things that are already done, things that are taken care of, tend to fall into the background really quickly, and we don't notice them until something goes wrong and we can't do those things anymore, like we have a stroke or a disease like Alzheimer's inflicts us, or something like that. We don't realize how much for granted we take these incredibly complex things that we do with the human body and the human mind. And to hand that over to AI, good luck. Let me know how that's working out for you. But it will be a long, long time before I hand over responsibility to an autonomous driving vehicle. Okay, so that is it for tonight, and please, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe below. And until the next time, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off and wishing you a very, very, very pleasant evening, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Take care now. See ya.